They thought everyone had already evacuated the burning house, but they saw something that left them completely speechless. What makes us superior to animals? Are we really superior to animals? Do only human beings think? Do only human beings feel? All these questions were asked to Lizama, a young firefighter who had just put out one of his first fires and who saw something that left him astonished, convincing him that the animal kingdom is capable of giving life lessons to human beings that we could never imagine. The fire was under control, the flames were turning to smoke behind him, and now he could rest. And as he did so, Lizama remembered for the first time in many years that as a child he never wanted to be a firefighter. As a child, his heart was awed by the scientific programs he watched on television, in which adventurous explorers roamed the inhospitable landscapes of the African savanna in search of exotic and dangerous animals. But life soon confronted Lizama like a cruel, dream-crushing machine. When at school his teacher asked him what he wanted to be when he grew up, and he replied that he dreamed of being an adventurous scientist who chased wild animals to study them, he received one of the greatest humiliations of all those he experienced throughout his life. His classmates laughed at him intensely, pointing fingers at him and making all sorts of comments about his innocence. But it wasn't the taunts of the classmates that scarred Lizama. What truly traumatized the little boy was that his own teacher, the school authority, who was supposed to be there to encourage him to pursue his dreams, didn't take him seriously. She thought the boy was making fun of her and replied curtly, "Don't be stupid, Lizama. Those professions are only for Europeans and people with money." Since then, the little boy abandoned forever his dream of becoming an explorer, but his love for animals remained intact. And guided also by those same television programs, he decided that he would become an adventurer. This was his most sensible profession, more affordable to a poor boy like him, and he thought that with that life project, no one would make fun of him anymore. But he was wrong. A couple of years later, Lizama began to insist that his parents adopt a pet. A cat or a dog, whatever it was, the important thing was to have a pet. His mother was reluctant to the idea because she had never liked animals and knew that sooner or later she would be the one who would end up cleaning the pet's waste. His father, on the other hand, also began to feel comfortable with the idea and wanted to intervene in favor of adopting a dog. But since he found his son's insistent suspicions, he first asked him why he suddenly wanted a pet. Lizama confessed for the first time, and with great emotion, his dream of becoming a veterinarian. He would have preferred never to have done so. The confession aroused the wrathful anger of the little boy's father, who scolded him for supposedly having such poor dreams. According to him, what he should do was to choose a profitable profession, be a lawyer or an engineer, but not something as simple as a veterinarian, who, according to him, earned little and lived full of fleas all day long. Of course, that discussion sealed the matter, and the family did not adopt any pets. Lizama said nothing about the comment, nodding obediently to his father's reflections on his future and agreeing. That night, however, in the darkness of his room, Lizama wept deeply. He did not know how to describe the feeling that welled up in his chest. This is how life hurts when it destroys a child's dream. When Lizama was old enough to choose a career, he did not become a lawyer or an engineer as his father would have wished. His academic performance was not the best, and his grades would not have allowed him to go on to college in one of these careers. Also, consciously or unconsciously, the young man did not want to indulge his father. If he could not fulfill his dreams of becoming a veterinarian, he would not fulfill his father's dreams either, and was looking for a third option. It was that he ended up becoming a firefighter, a profession he had never thought of. But perhaps being in the middle of the flames, putting out fires, was the closest he could get in his life to the adventure he dreamed of as a child. He passed the training without much difficulty and ended up becoming the youngest firefighter in the city. The first few weeks, the cases he attended were minor: a fallen tree that had to be removed from the road, a cat that could not get down from a tree, or things like that. But finally came the first fire. Reality once again crushed Lizama's dreams. Watching an entire factory go up in flames was not a gratifying experience for the young firefighter. Dozens of jobs gone, a lifetime's work destroyed, millions of dollars in losses, and even a death. It was not an exciting scenario at all. He would have preferred to continue pulling cats out of trees rather than having to witness a hellish spectacle like the one he had to endure on that occasion. But sadly, that would not be his last fire. A couple of fires later, Lizama witnessed a scene that left him completely astonished and reminded him of his childhood dreams, where he dreamed of being a veterinarian because of his love for animals. The Corps was summoned in an emergency to attend a fire in a residential area. The cause had been a candle lit to some saints that had gotten out of control. The flames were raging, and there were still many neighbors living in the area, but Lizama and his companions did everything in their power to save every last person. They risked their own lives to enter through the flames and the threatening smoke, to enter the burning house and rescue the residents one by one. It seemed that they were not going to make it, but against all odds, as they had made the respective calls, they confirmed that all the people had been brought to safety. No human being was going to lose his life because of that fire, although the material losses, once again, were going to be in the millions. And only then, when all the human beings were safe, Lizama noticed the desperate barking of some of the dogs that were still inside the houses, and that had not been able to get out because of the fire. Disobeying his superior's orders and the safety protocols learned during the training course, Lizama went back into the smoke and flames to rescue the animals. The structure was about to collapse, but he didn't care. For the first and perhaps only time in his life, he was determined to follow the dictates of his heart, rather than the orders given to those in authority over him. Little by little, Lizama rescued the pets inside the apartment one by one, but as he went in and out, the fireman looked more and more exhausted. He had breathed in a lot of smoke, and at any moment he could faint. Until finally, Lizama was able to rescue the last dog from those buildings and handed him over to his owner. The owner, however, continued to cry. In addition to the dog, the woman had a pet cat that would burn to death if something was not done to save it. Lizama tried to go for him, but his body could not take any more, and after taking 2 steps, he collapsed. What would be the surprise of those present when they saw the dog running back to the building in the middle of the flames and smoke? Contrary to the stories that are told about the enmity between dogs and cats, that dog and cat were the best of friends, so much so that the canine risked his life to save his feline friend. Upon entering the apartment, the dog let the cat perch on his back, and with him in tow, he went down the path that Lizama had marked out for him in his rescue, and brought himself and his cat friend to safety. Lizama woke up a couple of hours later in a hospital. He was convinced he would be fired for his recklessness, but far from it. He was awarded the local deputy's Merit Medal for his bravery in rescuing people and animals during the fire, even at the risk of his life. Without intending to, Lizama had fulfilled his childhood dream to be an admired adventurer who subtracted danger to save the lives of others in need. If you liked the video, don't forget to like it, leave your opinion in the comments box, subscribe for more stories like this one, and share it with your friends and family. I'm Max, and see you in the next story.